So I think a homeless person in this country could point at the problems that the country faces. I think a homeless person could actually suggest what the solutions are to the problems that we have in this country. But in this country, you can't be homeless and run for president of the United States. You have to have a resume. And I think I have a resume to suggest that not only can I do this job, but that I can do a really good job at it. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I grew a one-person operation, me, into over 1,000 employees. I learned a lot from that. I sold that business in 1999. Nobody lost their job. They're doing better than ever today, and it allows me to have a full-time, unpaid job running for President of the United States. I had never been involved in politics prior to running for governor of New Mexico. I went and I introduced myself to the Republican Party in New Mexico 2 weeks before I announced. You know what? They said, we like you, we like what you've got to say, we're going to be inclusive, we're going to include you in all the debates, all the discussions. You know, go have a fun time, but you just need to know that you will never win. That it is not possible to come from completely outside of politics and get elected governor in a state that's 2-to-1 Democrat. Well, I won. And I would like to think it was based on what I had to say, which was, let's just bring a common sense business approach to state government. Best product, best service, lowest price. Let's make government smaller. Let's not have government intrude into our personal lives. I got elected. I distinguished myself for perhaps vetoing more legislation than the other 49 governors in the country combined. I vetoed 750 bills. I had thousands of line item vetoes. Only 2 were overturned, so it made a difference when it came to billions of dollars worth of spending. It made a difference when it came to government, the legislature that passed laws that, in my opinion, were going to add time and money to my life, having to comply with these laws. Wasn't going to make me any safer, wasn't going to make my life wasn't going to make me healthier. So how about let's not even implement this law. It's just going to add time and money. Now, how did this all turn out in a state that was 2-to-1 Democrat? You know, I think the biggest indicator was I got reelected. I got reelected in a state that was 2-to-1 Democrat by being a penny pincher, by being somebody who stood up to bigger government. I got reelected. I think there are 3 really important polls, studies that came out during this presidential cycle. They did a poll on all of the presidential candidates in this cycle and their favorabilities in their own states. There's only one presidential candidate in this presidential cycle that's viewed favorably in his or her own state, and that's me. How does that equate? In New Mexico? In New Mexico, people wave at me with all 5 fingers, not just one. And then they did a study on job creation. Which politician running for president of the United States has the best record when it comes to jobs? Well, that was me. And my answer to that was the same as it was when I was governor of New Mexico. I didn't create one single job as governor of New Mexico. The private sector creates jobs, but I did create an environment of certainty. I controlled all the agencies, appointed the heads of all the agencies. I appointed the boards and commissions. I controlled all rules and regulations. And rules and regulations got better on a daily basis with just a fundamental notion of less time and less money to have to comply with what government wanted. And then lastly, and I think this is really important, the ACLU did a report card on all the presidential candidates. ACLU, a group dedicated to civil liberties, a group dedicated to the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. The ACLU came out with a report card in December. 24 Liberty torches was a perfect score. This is important. Mitt Romney, Rick Santorum, 0 Liberty torches out of 24. Newt Gingrich, 4 Liberty torches out of 24. President Obama, 16 Liberty torches out of 24. Ron Paul, 18 Liberty torches out of 24. Gary Johnson, 21 Liberty torches out of 24. I think this is important. I think it's important right now to recognize that there are only going to be 3 candidates on the ballot in all 50 states. It's going to be Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, and myself. Now, right now, we are on the ballot in 47 states. We are litigated in the other 3. We believe that we will prevail with regard to the other 3. But those are the only 3. There are other third-party candidates. I believe the Green Party will be on the ballot in a maximum of 30 states. So although there are other candidates running for President of the United States, what I'm about to say is talking about the 3 candidates on the ballot in all 50 states. So how do I differ from Obama and Romney? I am the only candidate that does not want to bomb Iran. We bomb... We bomb Iran, we're going to find ourselves in a bombing maintenance program of Iran every 2 years. The biggest demonstration in support of the United States after 9/11 was in Tehran, where over 1 million demonstrators showed up in support of the United States. And we're going to bomb Iran? Our issue is with Ahmadinejad. It's not with the people of Iran. And if we bomb Iran, we're going to make ourselves another 100 million enemies to this country that wouldn't have existed otherwise. I am the only candidate that wants to get out of Afghanistan tomorrow and bring the troops out. I maintain that because of our military interventions, we have hundreds of millions of enemies to this country that, but for our military interventions, would not exist. And right now, all the discussion about the uprisings in the Middle East and the embassies, let's get out of these embassies now. Let's vacate. Let's stop making ourselves a target. The root of all evil. Politicians beating their chests over the threat of terrorism. And what is the cost of that? Tens of thousands of innocent civilians that die in the countries that we militarily intervene. Our men and servicewomen coming back in body bags. Our men and servicewomen coming back with their limbs blown off. All in the name of what? What are vital American interests? I am the only candidate that believes in marriage equality, believing that it is a constitutionally guaranteed right on par with civil rights of the 60s. I am the only candidate that wants to bring an end to the drug war. Legalize marijuana now. And we are at a tipping point on this issue nationally. It's on the ballot in California. I think it's, in Colorado this fall to regulate marijuana like alcohol. I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to be the first of 50 state dominoes that are going to bring rational drug policy to this country. I am the only candidate that would not have signed the Patriot Act. If I would have been President of the United States, there would be no Department of Homeland Security, there would be no TSA. I would leave airport security to the airports, to the airlines, to the states, to the municipalities, but not the federal government. I am the only candidate running for President of the United States that would not have signed the National Defense Authorization Act, allowing for you and I, as U.S. citizens, to be arrested and detained without being charged. Isn't that why we've gone to war in this country? I am the only candidate that advocates balancing the federal budget now. And if we don't do this, if we don't balance the federal budget now, I'm in the belief that we're going to experience a monetary collapse. And what's a monetary collapse? It's when the dollars that we have don't buy a thing because of the accompanying inflation that goes along with borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar that we spend. You've got Democrats and Republicans right now arguing over who's going to spend more money on Medicare. We have to slash Medicare spending, or we're going to find ourselves with no health care for those over 65. We have to balance the amount of money that we're bringing in with the amount of money that we're spending. So that means Medicaid, that means Medicare, and that means military spending. Nobody is talking about what has to be done in this country, which is mutual sacrifice on the part of all of us. We all recognize that what we're doing is not sustainable, and yet Republicans and Democrats are out there to make us believe that Santa Claus is coming this Christmas. And by extension, the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. It's not going to happen. We've got to take control of this ourselves, and we know it, and it's not being discussed. I'm the only candidate advocating abolishing the IRS, eliminating income tax and corporate tax, and replacing all of that with one federal consumption tax. In this case, I am embracing the fair tax, which I think is the answer when it comes to our exports, bleeding out all the taxes that exist in existing products. It's the answer to China. It's the answer to jobs.